Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Welcome,
Good morning.
welcome to Church Online with Edinburgh Vineyard and week two.
Week
So
two.
I hope people are doing well, and it's great to have you with us.
Spring is in the air.
Spring has sprung.
It's getting warmer. We're very excited. Spring flowers have made an appearance, and we are excited about the hot weather coming. We love it that you're with us this morning. We are just settling into this lockdown period. So we are enjoying that you are just journeying it with us. So welcome, whether you know Jesus or not, we love you being with us.
Yeah, it's great. We're continuing our series called Identity Parade. It's actually become more and more important because with so many things being taken away from us, it really puts a focus on who we are and what we're about. So we're going to be continuing that series, and David's going to be teaching this morning, which I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, it'd be good. To illustrate the ID Parade series, I thought it might be helpful to have a tube of toothpaste, even. A good friend of us uses this illustration, which I think helps us so well in this series, because when it's squeezed, you see what's inside. And in this time of being in lockdown and coronavirus and all of that, we are being squeezed. And some of the stuff that comes out from inside of us, we just see what's inside, don't we? So the really good thing on that is that God has a plan to deal with all of the stuff that's inside us, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So,
Yeah, so we believe God's going to really meet us in all those times and through what's being squeezed and what's going on. So that's what our intention is about. It's about meeting with Jesus, getting Him in our lives, and welcoming into that. We're not about entertainment, as
it's a good job.
You can probably tell. And there's good things like Netflix or iPlayer or all those sorts of things. Just go for those for entertainment. But this is a great opportunity to just stick your phone down. Unless obviously you're watching us on your phone.
Put your puzzle books away.
Yeah. Put the thing over your jigsaw, stop doing your jigsaw, all those things. Just a space. Let's make some space for what's going on, a time for learning, for what God's doing. And we really want to welcome you into that. So we're going to start with worship, and Kate's going to lead us into that.
Yeah. So if you have a Bible, I'm just going to be reading from Isaiah 40. And it's just full of good stuff. So as we start our time of worship with Graham, I just want to read this to you. Have you not known, have you not heard, the Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint or grow weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the faint, and to him who has no might, he increases strength. Even youths shall faint and be weary, and young men shall fall exhausted. But they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. So our expectation is that we can come to God and He gives us strength. Our expectation is that we can come to God and we are forgiven for whatever comes out of this toothpaste at this time. We can be forgiven. And our expectation is that we can come to God in confidence that we are held. So Father God, I ask that in this time of worship, whatever is coming out of us at home or in the workplace, in our work situations, with our families, we just ask that you would come and meet with us, that you would forgive us, that you would heal us, and that you would bring hope as we look at you and who you are, the creator of all things, the one who holds us close. Amen.
Give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness, you give hope, you restore. restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. You give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness, you give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. You give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness, you give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. All the earth will shout your praise. Hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. All the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. All the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. every eye will see the measure of your word. 'Cause there is no one like you, risen Son of God. Holy is your name. Holy is your name. So beautiful. No name is higher. So wonderful is Jesus' name. Every knee will bow in heaven and the earth, and every eye will see the measure of your word. 'Cause there is no one like you, risen Son of God. Holy is your name. Every knee will bow in heaven and the earth, and every eye will see the measure of your word. 'Cause there is no one like you, risen Son of God. Holy is your name. Holy is your name. Holy is your name. Holy is your name. Every knee will bow in heaven and the earth, and every eye will see the measure of your word. 'Cause there is no one like you, risen Son of God. There is no one like you, risen Son of God. There is no one like you, risen Son of God. Holy is your name. Holy is your Though the weight of your glory that brings me to my knees, and the power of your presence that heals and sets me free. Pour it out. Pour it out. I will worship. I will love you. I will lift you up. Give you the honor, praise and the glory. And I will pour it out. Pour it out. Pour it out. Though the depths of your mercy that saved a wretch like me, and the waves of forgiveness, your blood that covers me. Pour it out. Pour it out. Pour it out. Pour it out. I will worship. I will love you. I will lift you up. Give you the honor, praise and the glory. I will pour it out. I will worship. I will bow down. I will lift you up. Give you the honor, praise and the glory. I will pour it out. 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 Though the weight of your glory that brings me to my knees, and the power of your presence that heals and sets me free. Pour it out. Pour it out. Pour it out. Pour it out. Lord, we thank you for your presence. We thank you for the fact that even in the midst of a crisis, of a pandemic, where we're all in our homes, we're all separate from each other, we can still be together, we can still worship together. And you're present everywhere, Lord. And we're thankful for that, we're grateful for that. And Lord, we just recognize your majesty and your sovereignty in all of this. Amen. And Lord, as we listen to David's message now, I pray your presence will continue, and you'll give him the words to speak to our hearts, Lord, that come straight from you.
Hi everyone. Last Tuesday morning an email dropped into my inbox from John and Debbie Wright, the leaders of Vineyard churches in the UK and Ireland. To be honest, I'm not sure how I managed to get my name in the list, but I was really glad I was, because it turned out to be an update for pastors on COVID-19 and how it's potentially affecting Vineyard churches. And they started their newsletter by saying this. They said, "This isn't a surprise to God, but it has caught us all unaware." And I read the newsletter, I found it helpful, it was insightful, it was newsy, but God used this phrase to remind me that he is my very present help in times of trouble. Then later that same day, I got an article and read it from a theologian called N.T. Wright. Some of you may have heard of him, who was arguing that because the world is going to be a different place after we emerge from this crisis, instead of trying to explain things away now, we just need to be quiet and let God in, so that, and I quote, our lives become places where the presence and the healing love of God can dwell, with new possibilities, new acts of kindness, new scientific understanding, and new hope. So that's what I've been mulling over these last few days, knowing that I was going to be speaking out of John 15 today and continuing our theme of identity in terms of knowing just who it is that we love and how well we actually know what we have in the person of Jesus. So if you have a Bible, whether it's physical or digital, why don't you turn to it, John chapter 15, and we'll read verses 5 to 10 together. This is what it says. Verse 5. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit, because apart from me you can do nothing. If you don't remain in me, you're like a branch that is thrown away and withers, and such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. But if you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be done for you. Drop down to verse 8. This is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. And then lastly, verse 10. If you keep my commands, you will remain in my love. Now listen to what Jesus says in verse 5. If you remain in me and I remain in you, you will bear much fruit. Did you hear it? Did you really hear it? It's not about trying to be good. It's about staying close to Jesus, like a branch attached to a vine. That's verse 5. Why? Because of COVID-19? No. This is a biblical principle which is for all time, to all people, in all places. And the Lord is simply using this time, which is so out of the ordinary, to underline it. There's a great story in the Bible about two women called Mary and Martha who invite Jesus over for dinner. And when he arrives, both of them start doing different things. Mary takes Jesus' sandals off to wash his feet and to make him feel comfortable, and Martha sets to in the kitchen. Both of them are listening to Jesus talk about his travels and about the lives that he's seen changed because of his ministry. But this is what I want you to notice. Mary is the one in the story who is actually sitting at Jesus' feet. Her physical posture reflects the posture of her heart. She's just sitting there drinking in every word that Jesus speaks. And torn between the conversation and the call of the kitchen is Martha, who's saying to herself, nothing like a hot meal for a weary traveler. And so I'm going to do my best for Jesus. Now, although all of that is great, it means that while Mary is taking it all in, Martha is hearing less and less because she is busy in the kitchen. She doesn't realize that in her desire to serve, she's actually neglecting her guest. Her gesture is very generous, but it's misguided because Jesus isn't interested in food. He's interested in relationship. And in this season of confinement, it would be easy to be busier than ever with acts of kindness, Zoom meetings, and the routine of work when there's an unexpected opportunity for intimacy with Jesus. I'm not saying it's wrong to be busy and to be doing good things, but I am saying it's also important to use our time wisely so that we can go deeper in our relationship with God, to learn to rest in Him rather than rely on ourselves, to be in continual contact rather than seeking Him out in fits and starts, to dive into the Bible and lean on His promises rather than to write our own fragile plans. It's not about trying to be good, it's about staying close to Jesus. And the idea that we don't have time in order to do this is one of the biggest hindrances in working out this priority. So let me challenge you through a poem which I think, at least for me, nails it. This is the poem. I can't think. I can't read. I'm swamped. I haven't time. I'd like to pray, but I haven't time. You understand, Lord, they simply haven't the time. The child is playing, he hasn't the time right now, later on. The schoolboy has his homework to do, he hasn't the time, later on. The students have their courses and so much work, they haven't time, later on. The young married person has their new house to fix, so they haven't time, later on. The grandparents have the grandchildren to look after, they definitely don't have time, later on. They're ill, they have their treatments, they haven't time, later on. They're dying, they have no, and then it's too late. They have no more time. And so everyone runs after time. They pass through life, running, hurried, jostled, overburdened and frantic, and they never get there. They haven't time. In spite of all of their efforts, they are still short of time, a good deal of time. You must have made a mistake in your calculation, Lord. The hours are too short. The days are too short. Our lives are too short. And yet you who are beyond time, you smile to see us fighting it, and you know what you're doing. You make no mistake in your distribution of time. You give each of us time to do what we want to do. So Lord, on reflection, actually, I do have the time. I have plenty of time. All the time that you give me. And I'm not asking you, Lord, for time to do this and that, but I'm asking you for your grace to consciously do in the time that you have given me what you want me to do. You know, Kate, last Sunday, I think, was encouraging us to find a new place or a chair in our homes to meet with God, or go for a walk and ask God to tangibly walk with us. And they're great suggestions because intimacy with Jesus is a matter of priority and choice. And if we choose right, Jesus is saying to us here, it's not only better than all of the good things that we could be doing, it's also something that we will never lose. So why not this week, don't we encourage one another through all of our connections to go deeper in our relationship with God so that we can remain vital, fresh, and available. Have a good week.